So my number one film that shaped my sense of style is Charade from 1963. This is a film
Hmm.
directed by Stanley Donen, starring Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, which are the reasons why I put this on my list and at number one. Also starring Walter Matthau and James Coburn. The IMDb plot summary: romance and suspense ensue in Paris as a woman is pursued by several men who want a fortune her murdered husband had stolen. Whom can she trust? I like how there's a little question in that summary. That's kind of fun. But for me, when first thinking about this episode, for me, the stars and movie stars, some of them just stand for fashion, both on and off the screen. And the number one and number two for me are Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant, probably in that
Hmm.
order, in terms of movie stars that had a very unique sense of style that carried through every single one of their films and also into their real life personas. And having them both be in the same movie together, this is the only movie that they had made together, was that I had to put this film on the list for me. So have you seen this film, and what are your Audrey and Cary Grant hot takes?
Oh yeah, I mean, no hot take other than they're just style icons and royalty. Special, I mean, both of them in their own right. And I almost had a Cary Grant movie because nobody wears a suit like
Oh my
he
god,
does and
nobody. Yeah.
has like an effortlessness to. We'll get to somebody who comes close in my number one pick, but
Mm-hmm.
he's sort of untouched in that regard. And then Audrey obviously is Audrey Hepburn. I had not watched this movie in its entirety until now because
Oh.
I don't know. I always was like, this is. I went into it before thinking it's like a Hitchcock style movie, but
Mm-hmm.
then soon, obviously, nobody can match him. Not
Right.
that Stanley Donen is, I mean, he's amazing too, but I think there's an expectation mismatch. So I
Mm.
I remember sort of watching a little bit, getting bored, and then coming up, just stopping it. And I'm so glad that I finally watched this movie for and took it for what it is and
Mm-hmm.
had a blast watching it. I don't think it's their biggest style flex from either of them.
Right. Right.
They have lots of their own other movies where they're at their style peaks.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it's so great to see the two of them together. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Audrey, I mean, every outfit in this movie she wears from the very beginning, they're on a ski slope, and I think either France or Switzerland, and she just
Yeah.
looks just incredible in that outfit with those
Givenchy
sunglasses.
all through.
Givenchy, yeah. Actually, that is a good point. I don't know if this was their first collaboration, but they had a deal. They partnered together where he would do all of her style both on and off screen. Even though Edith Head gets credit for this film in terms of costumes, but there's a lot of controversy over who actually worked on and designed the
Oh
costumes.
yeah.
But
They
yeah,
started working years
this is
back. Like
before
even
this film. Okay.
yeah, Sabrina was maybe one of the earlier ones, and even
Mm.
there, Edith had got the credit, even though Givenchy designed everything.
Yeah. And him and Audrey together, just the
Yeah.
most amazing stuff. I mean, every time she appears in this movie, she's in kind of a different outfit and looking really great. Even there's a scene in the film, as they mentioned, her husband dies, and she's trying to, basically stop these other folks who trying to get some money from his estate. And she goes to his funeral and she looks incredible. And it's like this veil that you could sort of
Oh
see
yeah.
through it. It's like she could be stepping out onto a catwalk, just instead of going to a funeral. It's just amazing. So I think her outfits in this, great gloves, a lot of long gloves, which is one of her signature things. But she just such a standout in every shot that she's in. And look, Cary Grant too. Like you said, no one does wear a suit like that guy, and he always looks so like sharp and suave and not out of place, and not in like a snooty way. Like he'll show up in suits in any scene that he's in, but he doesn't look like he's trying to impress anyone or trying to come across as oh, I'm so fashionable, I'm in a suit. It's just who Cary Grant is. You know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean?
a very effortless
It's so
sense of
effortless.
cool, which is, omnipresent and not forced at all.
No,
Um,
it's amazing.
and I was also thinking about this, like I'm happy and I'm glad that we have like an person in their older years represented on this list because
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is, I would think younger from
Right.
these the times that they appeared in these movies. And, gosh, if most of us could have what Cary Grant has even in his like 60s,
Mm-hmm.
that would be amazing. He
Yeah.
looks great. I mean, the
Right.
30-year age difference between the two of them, or howsoever much it is, so it's a pretty big age difference between
Mm-hmm.
the two of them, is definitely, a bit stark. But I guess Audrey has done that throughout her entire career. Uh,
True.
So,
True.
at least it's not, 20-year-old Audrey opposite Fred Astaire.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
And this was the reason why they had never done a movie before this, because Cary Grant was is insistent on no age gaps between him and his romantic leads in movies. He feels it's uncomfortable and doesn't want to do it. And this film was the first time and only time they ever were together. And he actually made a point of changing the elements of the script when they cast Audrey to make it where she's going after him and he's not pursuing her romantically until she makes all the moves in the film. And he was very adamant that the script changed because he wanted to make sure he didn't come across as some old man going after like a 30-year-old or however old she was in this film. So classy guy all around,
Classy guy.
Very classy guy. And I think it works. Like, I just see them as two icons of cinema and style in the same film. And I don't look at the age as much as I might if it's, Audrey and some random older man.
Yeah. And I think Audrey, this is her gift. I think she makes those work somehow. So,
yeah, no, totally. No. And I think their on-screen chemistry is great as a film. Yeah. I mean, it's trying to be Hitchcock light, really. It's very breezy. There's some Hitchcock elements to the plot. And I think the twist at the end around where the money was hidden,
pretty cool.
all around Cary Grant's character. Actually, I hadn't seen this film in about 5 years, and there's so many twists on what Cary Grant's character goes through. I sort of forgot about the final one, which is like the big reveal at the end. So it definitely keeps you guessing. And also it's one of those great mystery movies where the answer's in front of you the whole time. It's not like there's a thing that comes in at the end that you're like, oh, if they'd only mentioned this in the opening scene, like it's there, like you can kind of figure it out. And the characters could too. And I think that's a strength in a mystery. But, the thing that it really misses is the big action set pieces that Hitchcock is so good at. There's a fight on the roof that's very kind of interesting where they're fighting and there's some great neon signs that is, fluorescent and kind of cool. But it doesn't, hold a candle to anything that Hitch would do. I mean, he's known for those big action set pieces. So that I think the film doesn't deliver on the level of like a North by Northwest or, even like Catch a Thief, one of his lighter Hitchcock.
Right. And
pairings.
Not even the action set pieces. I think this is stating the obvious. Like Hitchcock has such a flair with like building up tension. And, even in the quieter moments, like the shot of the glass with the milk and, there's endless things like that. And this movie doesn't have any of those sort of flares or flourishes, even in the quieter moments, but that's okay.
Right.
This movie totally stands on its own. And I was so glad that I finally watched it end to end.
Yeah, I think what Stanley Donen brings to it is more of the comedy elements,
and the romance too,
and the romance, and both of those things actually work better than Hitch had some funny moments too, but there's a lot of great witty, dry humor, back and forth banter between Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn that both really work, and I think that's where the Stanley Donen twist on a Hitchcock film is sort of a way to kind of encapsulate this.
Totally, and the swooniness too, right? Like I don't think Hitchcock is interested in romance and people swooning for each other and the audience swooning for the stars in that kind of romantic way. I mean, he definitely has it in a dark, twisted, lusty way.
Right. Or obsession, things that aren't necessarily healthy, his relationship between men and women. Whereas this one, they have a fun banter back and forth. And you get kind of excited for them to be on screen together. Again, two of my biggest fashion icons in the same movie. I had to put this one as my number one. Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.